What's going on? Charles Botenson here. Today we want to talk about motivation and why it's not really good to be just motivated, and why, like everything about motivation. Why do I know about motivation? Because that's like literally how I tried to do anything many years in a row. I would literally watch motivating videos. I'd watch Tony Robbins, or I'd watch an athlete, or I'd watch Brian Tracy, or Gary Vaynerchuk, or Grant Cardone, or any of these guys that were just really motivating. You just have the voice like, go out and just make phone calls, go to the gym, eat right, be wealthy, make billions of dollars. And it was good. You felt great afterwards, but that's it. And I noticed there's a ton of those people out there. There's great motivators, and they sell a lot of product, and they sell a lot of videos, and they make tons of money. But the problem is with motivation is that you don't learn anything. You don't learn how to do what you're doing or need to do, which is make money, go to the gym, approach that pretty girl, or whatever. There's no knowledge. There's no development in there. So that's where literally this year I just unsubscribed to all of those channels. I just said, this is not working. This is another way of saying you have to objectively look at your world. And this came from a wonderful comment by Chris, who's a longtime viewer, and we went back and forth on email. Thank you for the question, Chris. And he said, I was so into the Olympics, and I was just immersed into the Olympics, just watching and witnessing greatness. And he said, is that bad? Is that escapism? First of all, I have to commend you on being vulnerable. That is the only way that someone changes, good or bad. Someone could be doing something miraculous, and if they don't know what they're doing correctly, they may stop or change what they're doing. So say Conor McGregor, who just won the 170-pound weight class, he's an MMA fighter, and literally he knows exactly what he's doing. He's like, this is what I do on a daily basis. This is what I eat. This is how much I sleep. This is how much I train. This is what I train. This is how often I train. This is how many punches I do. This is how many leg kicks I do. This is how many push-ups and sit-ups. He knows to a T his regimen. He's objectively looking at his life. And he says, listen, this works. Why am I going to continue doing something, or why would I stop doing that and do something that doesn't work? You have to objectively. So Chris objectively looked at his life. I objectively look at my life and I say, what made me eat this donut? Or have this coffee, or wake up late, or not go to the gym. Well, I've been going to the gym and I haven't been waking up late. So those are bad examples for myself. But for yourself is just say, what is making me not perform 100%? And I just had a video, unbelievable. It was a realization that really came down to it. Is there was a study that came out, and I just made the video about it, is people focused on the process, or loving the process of doing something, working out to get a good body. And that's essentially what motivation is. Motivation is not, it doesn't motivate you to the end goal. And listen, I can tell you right now as well and I'll tell you how to get over it. Don't worry about that. I used to listen to motivating clips before I'd make sales calls in the morning. And I make sales calls from 9 to 11 every single morning, or every single weekday. And sometimes I just don't want to do it, because I just don't want to get on the phone and convince someone to work with me, or give me referrals, or give me their business, or everything else. Obviously, there's rejection, or there's hang-ups, or whatever. And it's like sometimes I just don't feel. Listen how many times I hear feel. You are not your feelings. You are not. If you think you are your feelings, you will always be chasing a feeling. And I'll make a video about this. This is so profound. This is literally happiness. If you chase what makes you happy, you will always be unhappy, because you're chasing something instead of being happy. Be happy and do something. Already be happy. If you're like hustling, Gary Vaynerchuk's like, hustling makes me happy. Awesome. But I hope he's already happy. He's already happy and he likes to hustle. But if he uses the hustle for his happiness, he's always going to be chasing the hustle. He's always going to want to do more. He's always going to want to fill up every second of his day instead of just being. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But that has a full circle on motivation. Motivation is a feeling that you get. So when you watch someone, so there's a bunch of things I'm going to say. Number one is when you watch someone at the Olympics, Rio, perfect example. These people go 4 years every single day with a goal to make the Olympic team, to just make the Olympic team. Okay, let's just talk about that for a second. You make the Olympic team. Then you go to the Olympics and then you compete against the world's greatest, fastest, strongest, smartest, most grinding people. You could be a hero in your country and a zero on the Olympic stage. But when you watch that, objectively watch it, see the greatness, of course, and witness and feel the greatness of them. But when you actually boil it down, this is what you should say to yourself. What's their daily routine? What do they do? How do they think? There's an amazing book. I got to do a review on it. It's called, I think, Elite Athlete, or Elite Mind. That's what it's called. Elite Mind. It's written by some male. I don't know what his name is. So just look up a male. If there's a female that wrote it, that's not the book. There could be a great book by a female, but I don't know. That's not the one I read. But it literally, it was probably that in Rockefeller Habits 2.0 if you have a business. That was a freakish book. I've changed my entire business around that. So, number one, when you're watching it, objectively watch it and say, what made them do that? You know, Tony Robbins talks about it all the time. He says, mimic greatness. Go out there and mimic the greats. See what they do. How do they think? How do they move? And that's what Conor McGregor does. That's why he's so good. He literally breaks down the movement, the mentality, even the head bob and moving in and out. And then post-game, post-fight, he literally says, well, he moved in, then moved out. And that's his quirks. That's his habits. That's when he's going to strike. That's when he's going to throw an uppercut or a leg kick or whatever. And it's the same thing as with you is if you're not getting good grades, if your business is flopping, if your body isn't where it's at, it's not because you're not motivated. It's because you're subjectively looking at motivation instead of objectively saying, who is this person that's talking about it? Is it Steve Jobs? Is it Oprah? Oprah, like literally look at her life. The amount of failures that she had to go through, the amount of no's that she had to go through, the amount of barriers to entry to get the world stage to the world class that she is. She looks amazing. She's 62. She looks no older than 40. She, yes, she fluctuated with her weight. That's a vulnerable moment. And then instead of saying, well, Oprah fluctuated with her weight, so I can too, what you need to think is, what did she do right? And what did she do wrong? And then you do those things. Don't do what she did that was wrong, and you do what she did that was right. That's number one, is you objectively look at someone on the Olympic stage and you say, what did they do right and what did they do wrong? How can I be that person? Instead of, wow, that's really cool what they can do, but that's not me. Number two is you have to look at motivation in the fact of what it is. That's all it is motivation. What people want is motivation to take action. That's ultimately what they want to get out of motivation. That's what I wanted to get, is motivation to take action. The problem with that is that motivation doesn't cause action, because motivation causes a feeling. And if the feeling doesn't cause action, then what causes action? All right? That's the way you break it down. That's objectively looking at it, not subjectively like, well, I felt like doing it. I felt like going to the gym. Nobody feels like doing a lot of the things that they need to do. There's a lot of things. You think I feel like waking up at 4:40 in the morning? It's a habit now. You think I feel like doing everything towards the day? I just know that I've trained my mind to love the process. And I know that if I do something different, I'm not going to get the result I want. And that's how you have to... Chris, he was the one that brought this up. He said, I've been watching the Olympics. I'm immersed in it. Am I just using it as escapism? Listen, as long as you look at the Olympics and you use it as an escapism, but then you draw yourself back and you say, wow, that's amazing. I want to do that. Or you feel the greatness. In other words, you feel the power and the strength instead of just looking at the speed or just looking at it in awe. You have to immerse yourself in it. Number one, when you're actually watching. Number two is also don't look at it in the fact that it's impossible. Because when you do, you separate yourself from them, and then you're addicted to it. Because when you see that it's possible, you're addicted to it maybe in the right way. Be like, oh, that's how they did the breaststroke, or that's how they did the turn in the water underneath when they go to the other side. So number 3 as well, I know I just went on a tangent with that, is that yes, if you're using it as escapism, you're addicted to it, you should not be, okay? The Olympics are fun, they're great to watch. I saw under a minute of it, and I'm still alive and I'm fine and I feel fantastic. So yes, you can survive, okay? I remember someone's comment on my video about why I don't watch TV, and the person was like, I watch it for the news. All right, dude, cool. You know, like, do you. Like, I'm not trying to change you. I'm just telling you why I don't, and maybe some compelling reasons why you shouldn't. But that's up to you, you know. And someone that uses TV to watch the news, probably not the person I'm going to hang out with. And that's why I deleted the comment. He went into a couple of negative things, and he started blah, blah, blah. But I'm not going to, number one is it's not going to be on the channel. That's not what I stand for. And you do you, all right? Going back to the third thing, which motivation, okay, so if motivation is supposed to cause action, but motivation causes a feeling, and then you're thinking that feeling causes action, then what causes action? Action. Action causes action. That's really hard to sink in, but this is what causes action. You doing it. You picking up the phone. You walking over to the girl. I have never thought myself into approaching a pretty girl. I have never thought myself into going to the gym. I've always thought my way out of going. Maybe she's got a boyfriend. Maybe she's drunk. I'm too drunk when I'm not. I'm too tired when I'm not. The music is too loud when it's not. Going to the gym. Well, it's too early. I'll go tomorrow. I had a great workout yesterday. That makes me do at least a day off, and then the next day, well, you know, I worked out 2 days ago and it might be crowded. Do you understand? You cannot think your way into action. Motivation does not push you to do anything. It gives you a feeling, but when you get that feeling, you're not right there to take action. Like, unless you're at the gym and you're literally lifting weights as you're listening to motivation, then that is the only time that motivation will be successful. When you are at your office and you're picking up the phone call and listening to the music, the motivating music, as you're making a sales call, that's the only time. Because when do we watch motivating videos? In the comfort of our home. When we're literally just by ourselves in bed watching YouTube videos, maybe even watching me. Right after me, you're going to click over to a motivating video and then watch it. Do not watch motivating videos. Better yourself in videos like this that teach you, that get to the cause of not being motivated to do something, to get to the cause of why you're not going to the gym, starting your own business, approaching that pretty girl, asking that guy out, getting better grades, making the team, getting smarter, getting better, getting richer. Get to the root cause. It's not because of motivation. It's not because you lack motivation. It's because you lack action. And what causes action is action. But we need to get why you're not taking action. That's the cause. It's not a feeling or motivation that you can get to. All right? So we could talk about that further. I just want to demystify the myth of motivation, because I went through a decade of trying to be motivated into certain things that I needed to do. Approaching a pretty girl, making more money, making sales calls, asking for referrals. That was me. It didn't work. It didn't work. So number one is unsubscribe to those channels, because it's not going to work. But if Steve Jobs says something in one of those motivating clips, maybe I'll get something out of it. Great. Yeah, maybe. But you're going to go through all these clips when you should be getting better, smarter, actually taking action. And I'll have a video about taking action. So have an awesome day. That's my feeling about motivation. It just doesn't work. That's why Grant Cardone, I don't really look at his stuff anymore, because he used to drop knowledge as Tai Lopez, who I don't watch anymore, because Tai Lopez and Grant Cardone, all they do is just motivate. That's really, there's no core, like, step-by-step, educational, this is what you need to do. All right? So have an awesome day. Talk to you guys soon.